Welcome to MINDSHOCK. This is your host, Bruce McGuire, and you are listening to the Steven Seagal series, The Man, the Myth, the Legend, Part 5, with even more receipts from possibly the most prolific individual that has ever existed. Possibly the greatest savant in the most amount of fields in the history of Earth. Master of all trades, jack of none. The most illustrious martial arts pedigree of any living human. We went over all that in previous episodes. We will be providing even more receipts tonight. I mean, if all the haters weren't already drowned in receipts, I have scoured not only what remains on the internet, but what has been purged from the internet in an attempt to censor the greatness of Sensei Seagal. But here on MINDSHOCK, we dive deep and upturn every stone. And the truth will be revealed despite the propaganda of the Illuminati. I mean, when does the Illuminati not want to paint the greatest humans on Earth in some kind of villainous light? I mean, is this all par for the course? And is Steven Seagal really head and shoulders above absolutely everyone else? As always, if you enjoy the podcast, want to help support logic and reason, return to a world where it is quickly going extinct, as is clearly evident with all the Seagal hate going around. I mean, we might really have to examine whether or not Steven Seagal is the Messiah at the end of this one. You can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. So let's go through a stroll down memory lane first as we provide the receipts. I mean, I'm going to provide receipts that nobody even thought of providing. I mean, I'm going to bring up more receipts than for anything Steven Seagal has even ever claimed is true. I mean, I'm going to bring up receipts for accolades and accomplishments that Seagal has never even mentioned a single time. Because this guy's so humble. He appears to have downplayed absolutely everything. He appears to have only revealed somewhere around 1% of his true experience and greatness. So I'm going to leave it up to the chat here. Do you guys want to go in reverse chronological order or chronological order for another round of receipts before we dive deep into two additional fields that Seagal is an absolute savant and extraordinaire in that nobody gives him credit for? And one of which he himself has only mentioned on one occasion that has been purged from the internet, and I will be bringing it all back to tell the truth about Steven Seagal. Do you guys want to go in chronological or reverse chronological? Or a mix? Okay, how about we just do a free-for-all of receipts? Okay? So here, Justin Johnson says Dewey Decimal System. Okay. Let's just do a free-for-all for receipts, and then we'll get into these two additional fields, one of which is comedy, one of which may or may not surprise everybody. I'm going to be bringing up another field of domination that nobody gives Seagal credit for. But this is MINDSHOCK. We are completely comprehensive and exhaustive here. All right, I mean, I hope everybody is sitting down for this, because I don't think anybody's going to be ready for this level of receipts. You guys thought the other receipts were extreme? I mean, there is so much more. Okay, first of all, I dug up this photo of Sensei Seagal in his earlier years. And please bear with me, YouTube does not want the truth of Seagal getting out. So It's going to be tough. There might be some lags, but here's one of the earliest known photos, if not the earliest photo, of Master Seagal. I mean, look at that brow. I mean, he was probably, he's probably the king of babies. I mean, does anybody think any other baby could have taken out baby Seagal? I mean, he's a massive baby there. He was no small infant. And you can already see that intense glare. That intense glare evident in Seagal's younger years. I mean, just absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Now here is another photo taken a little bit later, but you can already see the intensity of Seagal here. I mean, look at that mug. He's already mean mugging at a young age there. He's got a Wyatt Earp shirt on. Now, if that isn't foreshadowing, I don't know what is. I mean, obviously, Seagal's mastery of firearms and his marksmanship might be second to none. I mean, maybe he was better than Wyatt Earp himself. But think about just is this Seagal's psychic prowess at play here? Or is it just some kind of weird synchronicity, echoing the greatness to come from Steven Seagal? Also, for the people, we're going to be going all over the place here. I did manage to find a behind the scenes still of Steven Seagal stunt coordinating on the film The Challenge, 1981. Some people say, he didn't really work on the movie or whatever. Here's another receipt of the great Seagal overseeing the action on the movie The Challenge. Here's a photo of Seagal, sheriff duty. Some people actually think he wasn't really a Border Patrol agent. There was some kind of conspiracy to not air the final season of Steven Seagal Lawman. And there are even more receipts here of Seagal on Border Patrol. I mean, look at that badge. Look at that badge. Who's gonna mess with Steven Seagal on the border? If you're joining us here for part 5 without looking at the previous parts, I mean, we got so many receipts here on Seagal. I mean, just look at the illegal influx. So Seagal works the border until around 2016, and then all of a sudden, the amount of illegal spikes. As soon as Seagal gets off that border, it gets out of control. Absolutely out of control as soon as Seagal gets off the border. And for those claiming that he had nothing to do with it, I'm going to bring up a clip here. This is another clip of him on Piers Morgan. This was an earlier episode. I'll have the date here. And Piers is on best behavior here. I've actually never seen Piers Morgan be this polite. This was 2012, actually. Then he came on Piers Morgan again in 2017, blowing the whistle on the Illuminati, and then within weeks, all of these allegations come out of the woodwork against Sensei Seagal. So here is this clip of Seagal. Piers actually didn't even appear that mentally disabled here, which is curious, because his mental disability is quite severe.
Steven Seagal on Law and Order in the Trayvon Martin case.
If he really did follow this guy after dispatch said, you know, do not follow him, and then started an altercation with him, I would arrest him in a heartbeat.
Stephen, quite knowledgeable of the law, of course.
And standing his own ground. You still fight?
Yes, I do.
You still dangerous? Steven Seagal isn't just an action movie star. He's also been in law enforcement, working as a reserve deputy chief. He's with us tonight to talk Hollywood, life, keeping America great, Trayvon Martin, and other issues. But let's start. Let's talk about Trayvon Martin briefly, this case that sort of gripped America at the moment. This young black teenager killed.
Did you hear what Piers Morgan just said? Keeping America great. This is back in 2012. This is way back in 2012.
In the street, unarmed, under a law which at the moment has protected the guy that killed him. It's called Stand Your Ground. Now, you're a tough guy actor.
Right.
You've stood your ground toe-to-toe with the best of them. What do you think about this case?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, I don't have all the details. I've been a police officer for over 20 years, and I've investigated murders and all kinds of different crimes. Originally, you know, I was told that this was a situation where this guy was a neighborhood watch person who saw somebody that he thought was sort of shady and suspicious. He called it in and dispatch told them, do not follow him, leave him alone. And then the guy continued to follow him, came up on his porch and started an altercation with him. Now I'm being told none of that is true. So if you can tell me what really happened, I can give you my opinion.
I mean, how often do you see a guy with this kind of intellect where he's basically saying we actually don't have all the facts and information? I mean, think about that. Like, all these clueless goof mouthpieces like Piers Morgan himself, they're always just going into verbal diarrhea of what is or isn't true in their opinion on it. I mean, how often do you see a guy call this BS out and simply say, well, we don't really have all the information. So how can he give an opinion without having the information? Give me a second here. YouTube is lagging like crazy. This might take a minute or so for me to sort this, then we'll get right back to it.
Yes, I come up.
Almost done. Got it back. Couple more seconds here. YouTube really does not, the powers that be really don't want the truth of Steven Seagal coming out here. Okay, let's get back to it. Everybody's still with us here? All right, so let's continue.
My feeling is that he should at least be arrested. You know, the legal process has to at least start, doesn't it? If somebody's dead,
I mean,
lying there, unarmed and dead.
You know what I can tell you? Any of the guys on my team, if they did that, they would be on suspension and possibly in jail.
This issue of stand your ground. Florida is one of the states, there's quite a few states have it. I think there's 20 now that have this. But Florida has the most pronounced version of this law, the most generalized. And they've seen an explosion in cases of people using it to get off, effectively killing people. What do you think about the right to defend yourself? Where are the parameters? You've been on the law enforcement side.
I think
you've been in tough movies. What do you think?
Everybody certainly has the right to defend themselves. That's not to say that they should defy common sense by avoiding or diffusing confrontation. And that's very, very important. You know, in other words, if somebody comes up to me and calls me any name he wants to and talks about my mama, I'll say, I'm happy you feel that way, and I'll turn around and walk away.
I mean, look at the maturity and Zen mastery of Steven Seagal. I mean, and he basically executed this with Jean-Claude Van Damme, which we went over in the previous episodes.
Conversely, if he starts swinging at me or pulling out a weapon, then stuff's going to change right away. And I think everybody really has to understand that. This law doesn't say that you should look for altercations. What it really should say is you should do anything and everything you can to be able to avoid confrontation. However, as a last resort, if you're really indeed in fear for your life, you have the right to defend your life. That's what that law is. That's the spirit of that law.
Let's talk movies.
I got tired of coming up with last-minute desperate solutions to impossible problems created by other people.
All of your ridiculous, pitiful antics aren't going to change a thing. You and I, we're puppets in the same sick play.
I mean, look at Seagal's complete understanding of statism and the Illuminati cabal. The same sick play.
Serve the same master. And he's a lunatic and he's ungrateful. There's nothing we can do about it.
It was Under Siege, a terrific action film that grossed $160 million worldwide. Made Steven Seagal an international superstar. You had this huge, huge hit. I think it's fair to say you haven't had one quite like that since. Do you care? I mean, once you've had a huge hit like that, is that enough for a movie star?
For me, if God blessed me with that one great hit, I'm satisfied, but I still got a lot in me, and I'd still like to get out there and tell a lot more stories cinematically, and if God willing, I'll get the chance to do that.
What do you think of your country right now? What do you make of what's happening to America?
I think one of the biggest problems that we have right now is border security. And I think that, you know, it seems to me that there are certain administrations in Washington who...
Now, keep in mind, this interview was this 2012? This interview, 2012. So this is the beginning of the graph here. Now, Seagal leaves for Russia, and then it goes out of control. I mean, look at this graph here. As soon as Seagal gets off the border, there's the border crisis. I mean, this guy knows what he's talking about when he's talking about the border.
We're probably thinking that they may like to have open borders, and therefore a lot of what's going on in the borders, in my opinion, is under-publicized, to say it lightly.
Because you live in Arizona.
Right. And I think that there's well over 50,000 people that have been killed in the border wars in the recent past. That's more than Afghanistan and Iraq put together. I work for Joe Arpaio, who I think is a great sheriff and a great man, and I think that what's happening down there is not at all racial. It's not an immigration problem. It's really a matter of national security, and our borders need to be checked and monitored. I think that, you know, there's...
Given that, who do you want to be president?
Well, I mean,
come November.
I mean, to be honest with you, I am kind of on the fence now, because even the people that are opposing Obama are not necessarily, you know, brilliant in my opinion. But right now, in my opinion, when you have cartel members coming in and recruiting children off of the playground, they're recruiting people who no longer have the tattoos, no longer have criminal records. They're people that are going to be undetectable to come and work for them, and you have them with their, you know, they've been established all over the United States.
I mean, these are bold predictions from Seagal, but man, the prophesizing here. I mean, is Steven Seagal a prophet messiah?
America now, it's a huge problem. If you know, I'd like to be able to bring a panel in here of some of the great experts on what's really happening on the border and let them tell you for your show, because it would amaze you.
It would be a fascinating show. Be part of the problem with the whole debate.
I've never heard Piers Morgan not interrupt people before. I mean, this is very mind-shocking to me. I mean, it's almost a shame Piers Morgan didn't have an attitude here, because it would have been hilarious to watch Seagal handle him, but...
Is there anybody that argues in the way that you're arguing immediately gets labeled racist and so on?
It's nothing to do
It
with
becomes
that.
a different debate, doesn't it?
In Maricopa County, you know, if somebody commits a crime, like we get these high-risk warrants for murder, for rape, for armed robbery, whatever it is, and we go after those people. When we arrest somebody in Maricopa County, we don't care if they're Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Mexican, French, Italian. If you commit a crime, we arrest you.
I mean, this is clearly a fair man, but just another point here. How many multi-millionaire celebrity actors are also sheriff's deputy, or even deputy chiefs, whatever his ranking was? I mean, how many multi-millionaire celebrities are putting their life on the line in active duty? I mean, this is crazy.
You know.
Your new project, coincidentally, is called True Justice. It starts on March the 30th on the Reels channel. Right. Tell me quickly about that.
Well, I mean, I wanted to set up a situation where I could do kind of a show that would be based on things that I've seen in my career as a police officer and my friends, and derive a lot of the stories that I thought were important, and create a police show that was realistic and a little bit different than the average stuff that's going on.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, what great ambition do you have left? What's the one thing, if I had the power to give it to you, you'd take it?
You know, I've been in Abu Dhabi for the last few months working with them. Very, very honorable people, the people that I've been working with. And they're talking about building a huge multimedia fund to make movies and televisions and different things, and television shows and different things like that. I want to be able to work on a project that will give people around the world the chance to represent their own people, their own culture, their own stories, rather than just Hollywood really, you know, dominating Hollywood.
I mean, look, I mean, he's already rolling out the anti-wokeism to combat wokeism before wokeism was even a thing. This is 2012. Like, he's already exposed, well, I mean, he's exposed Hollywood in certain bits and pieces. He does a much bigger job in the years to come, and the Illuminati cabal. But yes, Joyce B in the chat here, amazing when you look back with new eyes to see. He is completely right. Yeah, and a lot of this has been scrubbed from the internet, especially his Alex Jones appearances, which I played in the earlier episodes. It's all been scrubbed from the internet, and now I'm bringing it back. We're bringing the truth back into the light.
And that's a dream of mine.
Do you still fight?
Yes, I do.
You still dangerous?
Let me tell you this, the guys that I'm training in UFC, you know, some of them have gotten their championship belts, world championship belts, because they've attributed that to me and me teaching them, so I still know a thing or two.
I've always imagined if you're Steven Seagal, every single bar you ever go in...
I mean, look how humble he is. I still know a thing or two. I mean, you know, and then he's basically just repeating what others have said about him.
In the world, there'll be some jackass in a corner who wants to come and try it on with you. Does that actually happen?
Once or twice.
and what happens to them?
Bad thing.
For that reason, Steven Seagal,
Joyce B says there's something wrong with the sound. Is it dropping again? Hold on a second. Actually, on my end, oh, it's a little jumpy, but should be okay. It was jumpy for a second. Looks okay again now.
I'm wrapping up this interview and wishing you all the very best for your day, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good to meet you.
So yeah, even the usually obnoxious Piers Morgan on his best behavior with Seagal, not interrupting at all. What a goof though. Okay, let's continue here with the receipts. So here's a photo from 2012, 2013 that I found. It's much older. I actually do not know the context of this photo. If somebody does, feel free to mention it. But I do not know where this came from. Can anybody, I mean, if anybody knows any of the individuals here, or where this photo is actually from. The only thing, I found this in an old cache. I've never seen this photo of Seagal before. And the date of this photo recovered from the internet's 2011, 2012. Obviously, this looks like it was taken in the early 90s, if not the late 80s. So I do not know the context of this photo. Is this a film set? Is it something else? I don't know. Heracles in the chat says that was when the U.S. surrendered to Steven Seagal. Yeah, I do not know anything about this photo. So perhaps another Steven Seagal aficionado can pinpoint what this is from, if it's from a movie or whatever. Now, Steven Seagal, for those that claim that he's always about the action and the violence and the guns, I've also uncovered a softer side image of Seagal that I think all the MindShock listeners will appreciate here. I mean, look at this gentle, gentle man here. Just sniffing the flowers of life as he walks through a fairy tale life. I mean, this is absolutely wild stuff. The softer side of Seagal, quite rare to witness this. But here on MindShock, we are comprehensive and exhaustive. So obviously everybody's seen these photos of him with the Dalai Lama. So people claim that after he got his status of reincarnated Lama recognized, and it was just all some publicity stunt. I actually found some old candids. If it'll let me put them on the screen. Check this out. 1996. I mean, these are candid shots here of Seagal and the Lama. It's got January 7th, 96 on the timestamp. Not sure that's accurate, though, but... yeah, I found quite a few candid shots of Seagal. I mean, for those that think that he only became a diplomat after meeting Putin, I do not know the source of this photo here, but clearly this is some kind of diplomatic meeting of sorts. And this was prior to 2009. Again, I've done a deep dive cache internet through the cache of the internet, so I do not have the sources of a lot of these. Dave Scott in the chat says that Dalai Lama is a CIA plant. Well, if he is, perhaps Seagal's also CIA. Here's Seagal chilling with his friend in Japan in 2003. For those that think that this was all like some kind of paid-off publicity stunt, there's a bunch of candid stills of just him hanging out with his fellow master buddies in Japan. I mean, I found some dark stuff, but before we get to that, we're going to be going all over the place here. Seagal was also teaching at a Dharma school, so this would be Indian, is this Indian Buddhism? Indian Hinduism, right? Well, Buddhism and Hinduism. Dharma. And when does he ever brag about teaching Dharma? I mean, he's doing seminars and all of these things. I don't even know if he brought it up ever. We went through so many interviews. He doesn't even bring up how much he gives of himself to educate the world. Here's an image of Seagal in a Russian magazine. This is before he even knew Putin, allegedly. I mean, I don't have the year here. I don't even see it written on the cover here. It's a Russian magazine. Seagal's clearly very, very trim here. So this is probably either for Above the Law in 88 or 89, or early 90s, very early 90s, 90 or 91 maybe. So clearly Seagal's really big in Russia before he even met Putin, although if the CIA rumors are true, perhaps Seagal knew Putin from way back in the day. Who knows? Who knows? But for the people that think the whole Russian obsession just started after he met Putin, late into the 2000s, here's another receipt of Seagal with connections to Russia. Now, here's another receipt of his connections to Mongolia way back in 2002. These are some pretty cool shots I'm going to put on the screen now, if YouTube allows, of course. Man, should I have just not done that NASA occult patches episode? Because everything kind of went downhill with YouTube after that. Just give me a second here. So this is 2002 Mongolia. He seems to be pretty popular in Mongolia, and this is before this is way before he mentioned anything about about having Mongolian heritage or Russian heritage. So I don't know what to make of this. He also did a trip to Mongolia in 2002 here. I don't know if these are Mongolian diplomats or whatnot, but this is from a trip to Mongolia 2002. And just look how celebrated this guy is everywhere he goes. I mean, celebrated by the monks, celebrated by the common man, celebrated by the martial artists, celebrated by all world leaders everywhere. Meanwhile, some obese soy goof keyboard warriors tarnish his name and the Illuminati smear campaign against him in full swing. I thought I had one more cool shot of him in Mongolia. YouTube playing some serious games trying to limit Steven Seagal truth from coming out. This is Steven Seagal in Mongolia 2002. So he's obviously been a well-traveled individual for quite some time. Not sure what he's doing here, though. I mean, I wonder if he started learning Mongolian archery and horseback archery back in 2002. Wouldn't be surprising. Would not be surprising. We're just getting started here, by the way. It's kind of like a free-for-all Seagal receipts. He also has quite a number of trips to Tibet and Nepal. Here he is being honored with some kind of statue. I mean, this guy seems to be honored everywhere he goes. I mean, who can say that? Which celebrity can say that they're honored to this level in all of these different countries, on all of these different continents? Here's Seagal in Thailand, 2003. I mean, what a common man. Just fitting in with the common folk. I mean, a lot of people just say that Seagal lies about all the places he's been and everything he's done. I mean, it's really crazy that the hate that Seagal gets. I mean, he's just beloved by all the people, everywhere he goes, of all ages, all walks of life. I mean, this is just crazy. I mean, I've never seen any other celebrity this well-traveled, this embraced by common folk and world leaders alike. I mean, he truly is a very, very unique individual. We really might have to ask the question, is he the Messiah? we have to start asking, at this point, we really have to start asking the question. We at least have to start asking. I mean, just the level of respect everywhere he goes, especially in outside of Illuminati-controlled areas. I mean, where is he more hated than in Hollywood at this point in time? I mean, we'll be going down memory lane of back in the day where even Halle Berry wants a piece of Steven Seagal. For the people listening, make sure you also watch the screen. I'm posting all of these receipts from all of the decades of Seagal's dominance in many different fields, some of which might shock even the most ardent MINDSHOCK listener. There was one or two more images I had of Seagal in Nepal and Tibet. Oh, here we go. This is Nepal 1997. It's just crazy how people think Seagal made this stuff up. It's weird. I think Joyce B. asks, are his movies more popular overseas than they are in America? He was very popular in America, from Above the Law to maybe even Under Siege 2. And then, yeah, then not so much. But he continued to remain popular overseas as well. We're actually going to be, I actually found some very interesting interviews from other countries that we'll be going over. But one step at a time, people. One step at a time. I mean, we got to stay on track examining the greatness of Seagal here, because it's very, very multifaceted. Here's Seagal in India. I mean, he never even brags about going to India. This is Seagal in India somewhere before 2005. Couldn't even find an exact date here. I mean, is any celebrity more well-traveled than Seagal? Not just for making films. Most of these travels are not for making films. And look how humble Seagal is. I mean, even when he's in India, he's eating in a common hall with common people. I mean, come on. I mean, most celebrities would have their entourage, demand first-class luxury, everything. I mean, this is Steven Seagal, man of the people. Man of the people. Yeah, I'm going to ramp it up in a second. I'm just setting the stage here before dropping some major mind shocks on Seagal here. I don't think anybody's going to be ready for these, even after what we've gone over in the first 4 parts. So I guess we could jump in with some of his awards here. So a lot of people thought he made up his connection with Native Americans and the First Nations. Here he is receiving an honor from the First Nations tribes. And for those that think this image is doctored, I even found a video So here we're going to go. I believe this is 2011 now. Let me get this video. This was the Dreamcatcher Gala.
It's absolutely.
I mean, Seagal recognized and respected by the First Nations as well. I mean, just the amount of anti-Seagal propaganda is probably more than against any other person. And Seagal is clearly the most accomplished out of all of them. And clearly the most humble relative to what he has accomplished.
I really had no words.
In your professional life, you've dedicated a lot of time throughout your career to helping those who need the medical attention, as you've just said.
Hand in friendship for the. We are now have a special presentation to one of our featured guests this evening, Mr. Steven Seagal. Most people know him as a rugged martial arts who has take no prisoners attitude approach on camera, but we have learned that he's been very active on off-camera humanitarian projects around the world, in particular with tribes in the United States. He has offered his hand in friendship for the Dreamcatcher Foundation to assist and support us in the growth and our development. For this, we'd like to offer him a special gift on behalf of the Foundation. This gift is a replica of the Friendship Wampum Belt. Wampum Belts have been inspired and the awards to have given earlier this evening. This particular belt signifies peace and friendship. It was struck to show how we could be in harmony between Iroquois people and the newfound brothers. Mr. Seagal, on behalf of the Dreamcatcher Foundation, we'd like to make this presentation to you as a gift of a symbolic of the three tenets of Six Nations people: peace, friendship, and respect.
I mean, how many more receipts can there be? The answer is actually a lot. I mean, we're just getting started. We're going into hour 20 of examining, of an encyclopedic dissection of Seagal's accomplishments and experiences. And the more we look, the more we realize this guy really wasn't lying, was he?
Thank you very much. Say something? Yes, definitely. Yes.
We talk a lot tonight about children. This is just my opinion, but my opinion is that what's the main thing that's wrong with the world today is the degeneration of the family.
I mean, look at Seagal in 2011 prophesizing the fall of the West. I mean, if only everyone had listened to Seagal. I mean, wow. 2011, I mean, he gave all the warnings. He gave them all. The border, the degeneracy, the Hollywood cabal. I mean, this guy put his life on the line for everybody. And what does he get in return? A propaganda smear campaign against him.
I've been a police officer for 25 years. I've seen in the last 25 years the world get worse and worse in terms of crime, in terms of children turning to gangs and drugs and violence. I've seen the world get worse and worse in the last 25 years in most of the major cities. It's my opinion. The reason for this is the degeneration of the family. More and more parents who don't give their children the love and attention and respect.
I mean, if Seagal thought the cities were bad back in 2011, I mean, I wonder what he would think of Seattle, New York, San Francisco today. Some of these Democrat murder capitals with just astonishing crime rates. Crazy.
And guidance that they need.
So Stephen, tonight is obviously a big night, and Hamilton's happy to have you here. We're happy to have you here. Tonight, guests are going to be treated to some special performances, including your own band Thunderbox, which will be great. How would you say your connection to your own heritage, how has that affected your music, or vice versa?
Well, I think that, one of the things that I've always thought about is how important it is to allow people their culture, their religious beliefs, their spiritual beliefs, and to help them flourish in society, because if they're left alone and allowed to be themselves and support their own lineage, their own culture, their ancestors and their forefathers and all that they've learned from them, people become gradually greater and greater, in my opinion.
Tonight's theme, as you know, is heart and soul. Will we see that theme permeate throughout your performance tonight?
You bet. I mean, I haven't had any time to rehearse, and it may not be perfect, but one thing I promise you, my heart and soul will be in it.
What a humble man. I mean, this guy's wisdom is just off the charts. I mean, I think here's the main issue. Seagal is literally off the charts ahead of everyone else in every field. So what other cope can they have other than hate on the guy? Especially in Hollywood, like the most insecure location in the world. Yeah, I forgot Philly, Denise. Philadelphia, or Philadelphia, as they're calling it these days. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy how he's so much more talented than literally everybody else he encounters. All of these jealous people, what other cope do they have other than hate on him and pretend he's lying?
Do you have any words of advice, any words of encouragement for people in other Aboriginal communities that might encourage them to affect some positive change within their own neighborhoods?
Well, I've said this over and over again. Many of us in this life have been given challenges. And, I myself was born, very, very poor. My mother was found in a shoebox when she was born, so I never once said, man, I'm poor, I need to go steal or become an alcoholic or a drug addict. I just did the very best I could with a pure heart and a pure mind to work hard and overcome my shortcomings and hardships with hard work. And my advice to everyone is to know that anyone can accomplish anything with a pure heart and hard work. You don't have to resort to dishonesty or immorality or anything like that.
Can you imagine if everyone just listened to Seagal? Like, what kind of a world would we be living in? I mean, there might actually be peace on Earth if everyone just listened to Seagal, ironically. The guy that dishes out the most amount of violence possible in the most skilled fashion could be the guy that could have been bringing about peace on Earth, and perhaps he still win. He still will. He might not be done yet, people. This guy might not be done yet. For people new in the chat just joining us, I posted the receipts here. I'll post another one. For the people calling BS on Seagal being a police officer or helping out on the boots on the ground post-Katrina, here is the master himself with the New Orleans SWAT team in the Katrina aftermath. This was Seagal. Guess who showed up to save everybody post-Katrina? It was Steven Seagal. Even Anderson Cooper backed up the fact, in his book, he backed up the fact that he saw Steven Seagal on the ground under the radar during Katrina. I mean, absolutely incredible. It's just funny because Seagal doesn't provide his own receipts. I mean, people think he brags. He's the least braggart out of any of them. I mean, think about it. Seagal clearly has all these photos and videos. He could clearly shut up everybody. But he doesn't care. He doesn't care to prove this. We have to go digging through what has been scrubbed from the internet over years to find these receipts that Seagal could have easily thrown in anybody's face. But he's so humble and so graceful, he chooses not to throw the mountains of proof in everybody's face that he could easily throw.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Thunderbox.
And for those that don't know, Seagal is also a master guitarist. And the way he plays the guitar is also a very signature style. Most people don't play the way Seagal plays. He doesn't use a pick, and his fingers are spread out in a strange, what mere mortals might consider strange, but... Thanks for the super chat, Dave Scott. Dare I say it, hashtag Maxwell Army. I don't think Maxwell could handle the greatness that is Seagal. And obviously Seagal's a master vocalist as well. He does have 2 albums out. We went over this. I even played some of the music videos in part 1.
That concludes our coverage of Heart and Soul, the 7.
So there's the receipt on Steven Seagal being recognized and honored by the peoples of the First Nations. I mean, absolutely incredible. Seagal's also an expert marksman, by the way. We'll be getting into that. We went over that in episode 1 as well. Here's another throwback image to Steven Seagal being taught some kind of secret breathing techniques in the 70s. This candid shot, a rare shot from inside the dojo of Seagal has long said that his masters were mystical, trained in the mystical arts as well. It appears they're teaching him some kind of secret breathing techniques here. Dave Scott will be getting to whether or not he's a comedic genius. We're still taking this brief trip, not so brief, trip down memory lane because there's just so many receipts. I mean, there's so many. I don't even know what to do. I mean, this is going to be hours long. I mean, this might be the longest, this might turn into the longest running series in MindShock history because the amount of receipts, I mean, there's just so many. There are just so many receipts. Here's Steven Seagal, November 20th, 2017, becoming an honorary citizen. I don't think anybody's seen this photo before. I'm a pretty big Seagal fan. I've never seen this one before. This is him becoming an honorary citizen of this republic. Let me see if I can get the name right here. This is a tough one. Kalmykia, the Republic of Kalmykia. I mean, this man is honored everywhere he goes. Thanks for the super chat, Clona Steve Dreamkiller. But how does he tie into the Hoth mythology and lore? There must be a connection in the midst of time. I actually touched upon this briefly in episode 1. Clona Steve, I can't help but wonder, are you talking about Steve Seagal in your name, Clona Steve with a Z? I mean, is there anyone other than Seagal who's becoming this honorary citizen of all these different republics? I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. I mean, I'm not easily shocked, but this is absolutely incredible. He's just honored everywhere he goes. Absolutely everywhere. I'm going to get to the mind shocks of even in the U.S., but I mean, I don't even know where to go. I have so much here. I have so many receipts here. I mean, here's Steven Seagal with Geek Squad. I don't think anybody has ever seen this image before, but even Geek Squad respects the master that is Sensei Seagal. Yes, that is the Geek Squad. I mean, honestly, we might not even be able to get to the comedy tonight. There's so many receipts to get through. I mean, there's just so many receipts. Steven Seagal with his badge here. This is Steven Seagal at the International Music Products Association in Anaheim, January 2005. He's always up to speed in the music industry on what's going on. Kelowna Steve Dreamkiller says more receipts than a CVS. Way more. I mean, we're going into hour 20 of Steven Seagal receipts. I mean, these are just the general receipts for the intro of the episode here. These are just the general receipts. Just a quick stroll down memory lane. So Steven Seagal, for those that don't know, he also won the PETA Award for his humanitarian efforts in South Africa. And people said he just did that as a stunt in the 90s. Here he is in 2005, way post PETA, still helping the elephants in South Africa, 2005. And these are candidates. There's no camera crew. There's no newspaper squad. He's not looking for recognition. He's not clout chasing. He is simply doing his part for the betterment of the world and the animals in it. I mean, these are candidates that people took because there is no camera crew. This is simply Steven Seagal advocating for animals in South Africa on his own dime, on his own time, away from movies. Can any other celebrity claim to have done this much for the world and all the living creatures on it? I mean, if somebody knows somebody who's accomplished more. I mean, Steven Seagal is so talented. He can even play guitar on horseback. He's also a master horseback rider, and he never even brags about it. If you've seen the movie On Deadly Ground, I mean, his horseback skills are incredible. Very, very impressive. I mean, some people think he's a fake cowboy. Can a fake cowboy play guitar while riding a horse? Has anyone even tried? Here's Seagal. I believe this might be on his own ranch. You know, people think he's a fake cowboy. I mean, he's lived on a cowboy ranch for decades. And I hope you guys brought water and snacks because we're just getting started. We're just getting started. Here's another image of Seagal in South Africa, 2005, handling a snake. The man obviously knows no fear. Here's Manny Pacquiao respecting the great one himself, Steven Seagal. I mean, is there any... Steven Seagal does name drop a lot. But does he ever actually lie? It appears he's done way... He knows way more people than he's even claimed to have known. Here he is with Holyfield. No way. Clonus Steve Dreamkiller in the chat saying, when I was in grad school getting my PhD, the Dalai Lama came to visit our department, and Seagal came. Knew all sorts of stuff about various types of Buddhism, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, and Shinto. Wow, that's impressive. Was there a camera crew, or was he just doing that of his own volition? Just to give back, Clonus Steve. It appears he's just been involved in so much, and he never mentioned it, so it's actually even hard to find all of this. And Lord Zed saying he's done more for Africa than Oprah. Well, you want to mention Africa other than South Africa? Here's Steven Seagal on a humanitarian trip to Ghana. I mean... Again, the amount of stuff this guy has done. Yeah, Clone Steve Dreamkiller said no cameras. He just showed up. That seems to be his MO. He does things for the good of doing them, not for credit or clout. That's why it's so hard to find these receipts. Because these have all been scrubbed from the internet. Everybody wants to pretend he never did any of these things. He did everything he claimed and more. I mean, when does he ever brag about going to Ghana? This was May 1st. 2005. I mean, look how celebrated he is everywhere he goes. And that is one snazzy umbrella there. That is a snazzy umbrella. I'm pretty sure some of these images have never been shown anywhere before. I found them in caches and archives of old websites. I don't think anybody has ever showed them on any kind of documentary or podcast. I mean, this is a first. We are, of course, pioneering the first honest Steven Seagal podcast in history. Joyce B says he looks good in the native attire. Is there any attire he doesn't look good in, Joyce B? That's a better question. That's a better question. All right. Let's get a little focused here. Let's round out some of his music before we get into additional receipts. This is a super cool shot of Steven Seagal. Seagal has one of the biggest and best guitar collections in the world. Wow, Clonus Steve Dreamkiller with some very interesting stories in the chat here. He said, stating, he kindly asked us not to take pictures because he was, quote, just a student like many of you, end quote. Yeah, I'm going to post a couple more shots of him and his music. I mean, look at him absolutely shredding this guitar solo here. Actually, I think now would be a good time. I have another video here. There was a YouTuber, I don't know if he was joking or half joking. He put out a video wanting to be a guitar master like Steven Seagal. Yeah, here's a video. Merman 84, this is a new episode. This is episode 5, my friend.
You still...
I'm actually somewhat insulted you're not up to date on this Seagal series, the most groundbreaking series in MindShock podcast history. This is a video on the guitar mastery of Steven Seagal.
Fine?
Yes, I do.
You still dangerous?
Look at him absolutely shredding with no pick.
Sean Baby asks, can someone send me a good guitar lesson vid on finger tapping? Once you can do that.
Look at him absolutely shredding there. And he does this finger tapping technique.
Sequence, but yeah, that's tapping.
Some of the old guys that I play with, you know, a lot of them have nicknames, you know. So somebody started calling me the Mojo Priest, you know.
What is the essence of Zen?
Look at Seagal imparting wisdom to that young kid.
The way I took that, what they called me was blessed, you know, somebody who's blessed to play the blues or can give blessings with the blues, you know. And give blessings with the blues, you know.
I was born and raised in the blues. And so if you really play blues, I think you have to be able to play an acoustic also.
You teach that?
I mean, the absolute mastery of Seagal in literally every field he attempts. I mean, is there anyone more talented at being talented than Steven Seagal? Can anyone name someone who has mastered the amount of fields that Seagal has mastered? And we haven't even gotten into 2 additional fields.
Where'd you learn that?
Where did I learn it? Almost 50 years. The last 35 years or so to perfect it.
Now, some Hollywood actors, they do have bands. They really do. But are they top in their genre? I mean, the absolute mastery of the guitar by Steven Seagal is just truly incredible. Absolutely incredible. He's got 2 albums, etc. Respected by all the masters of the blues as well. A lot of people thought he was lying. They really did. They thought this guy was lying about all of the blues masters that he knows and plays with. They thought he was lying. Steven Seagal, Joyce in the chat, Steven Seagal is huge. He's 6'4", possibly 6'4.5". We're really jumping all over the place here, but I mean, that's what you get when you're fact-checking Seagal. He's just been involved in so much over the years. Just absolutely so much with so many people in so many different fields. And I'm going to repeat my question as well. Again, Is anybody more talented at being talented than Steven Seagal? This is Steven Seagal hanging out with Sam Kawa and Al Anderson at Seagal's own house here. I mean, it's almost like he lived 20 different lifetimes. Like, he's accomplished, most people, they don't even accomplish as much as Seagal has in a single of these fields. Seagal accomplishes it all. Clona Steve Dreamkiller in the chat says, this isn't about the guitar, but the guy was debating intelligently with the best scholars of Tibetan Buddhism in the country about the most insightful books. This was Harvard genuine intellect. I am not surprised at all, my friend. I am not surprised in the least. In the least. I mean, Seagal's just buds with all of the top legends. And they all respect him as well. I actually brought up sound bites and all that in episode 1. We're not going to get into any more of that here. I'm just going to put up a couple more images here. This is Chuck Popcorn Loudon. I mean, Seagal knows them all. I mean, I even found some, I even have some unknown receipts. I have receipts of Seagal with people he's never even claimed to be friends with, even though he is, or at least appears to be. This is Seagal with blues legend Coco Taylor. I mean, they all seem to really love and respect Steven Seagal. Man, when I said this was going to be a free-for-all, you guys probably weren't thinking it was going to be this much of a free-for-all. This is Steven Seagal with the queen of R&B herself, Ruth Brown. I mean, the amount of receipts, I don't think anybody's prepared for this. I mean, this is just crazy. This is just absolutely crazy. I mean, at this point, would it be easier to ask, is there anybody Seagal doesn't know and isn't friendly with at this point? Alright, we're almost done with the music side of this. We went over it a lot in episode 1 as well. But I just kept finding so many more receipts. Oh, I have one more receipt for his... Oh, actually, I have a couple more here. Okay, hold on. This is just absolutely crazy stuff. Again, I think most of these images are what people have never seen before. This is Seagal 2005 with Terry Lee Bolton, a Detroit area musician. A lot of people said that Seagal made up all his Detroit connections. I mean, everybody in the chat, be honest. When I first announced this series and I said I'd be bringing the receipts, who thought I would actually bring this many receipts? In the chat, they're asking, does Seagal know Kid Rock? What do you think? What do you think? Do you honestly think that Seagal and Kid Rock aren't buddy-buddy? I mean, how dare you even ask such a question? How dare you even ask, Lord Zed? How dare you? Clona Steve, Dreamkiller, I put up a bunch of pics of him with the Dalai Lama as well. So, Lord Zed, does this acquiesce your curiosity on the Steven Seagal Kid Rock connection? All right, I had one more image here, and this is something Seagal could brag about so many things, but he doesn't. He downplays everything. So Seagal also had, let me get the date here. YouTube's getting laggy again. Oh, here we go. This is Steven Seagal hosting a Hawaiian luau with former Miss Hawaii Iwalani Walsh Seu, and there were actually a lot of legendary Polynesian musicians who performed at this luau hosted by Steven Seagal. This was in 2008. Dave Scott in the chat saying, I feel like I'm in the Truman Show right now, so I'll just keep doing jazz hands. I mean, how many more receipts are possible? The answer are actually a lot. Because I'm bringing receipts for stuff Seagal never even claimed but did accomplish. Yeah, we got fact checks. You guys want to bring up... I didn't even bring this up. And Seagal never even really talks about... about his relationship with Donald Trump. But you guys want some Trump receipts? I'll bring the Trump receipts. Obviously, Seagal knows Donald Trump. Obviously, he knows the Donald. And he's known him for quite some time. This is going all the way back to 1995 here for this image. This was 95, and then the image behind them might have actually been post-2000. So yes, obviously Seagal knows the Donald. Wow, no way. Clone of Steve Dreamkiller said, check this out. At the reception after the meeting with the Dalai Lama, Seagal actually told the first chair cellist that his cello was out of tune, and he tuned it for him. Okay, I'll shut up now. Wow. See, you know what? After this Seagal series, is anybody shocked by that story? That Seagal also is a master cellist that knows how to tune the cello? I mean, I think we really have to start asking the question, is Seagal the Messiah? I think it's time. I mean, we're over 20 hours into this. I think we have to start asking, is Seagal the Messiah? There's also an interesting interview. This was actually in Real Media. I don't know if I could actually, I was trying to recover this. Oh wow, let's see, if I can get this to work, it would be incredible. Let's see if I can get this. Ah, man. I have a custom AI that recovers deleted videos, audio, and photos from the internet, but it's, you know, it doesn't work excellent, and I couldn't get this one. Oh, that's a damn shame. That's a damn shame. But hold on, I'm not gonna give up yet. Let me see if I can get it. It's a 20-minute interview, I believe from 1991. It's given me some problems, though. Okay, not gonna give up yet. I'm gonna try to get it for another minute or so. They really don't want the truth on Seagal out. Why do people think that? Man, this is so annoying. I've managed to recover so many things, and it doesn't want to give me this one. I wonder what's on it. The powers that be do not want anybody to listen to this interview from Steven Seagal back in 1991. That is disappointing. Okay, I'll try to get it. I can't get it right now, but oh wait, hold on. Come on. Work. Ah. Yeah, I don't think I can get it yet. I have to tweak this AI. It's gonna take a while. Alright, if I can get it. I think I can, but it's gonna take a while. So we'll save that. We'll save that for next time. Obviously, this is gonna be a long-standing series. I mean, we might have to do a weekly Seagal podcast at this point. I mean, just the amount of receipts that there need to be, and are. I mean, is there anyone more talented at being talented? I mean, that's my question here. That's my real question. All right, so let's Oh, wait a second. Hold on. I might be able to get it. Uh-oh. Hold on. Hold on. Bruce McGuire's technical skills are going to be put to the test here. I think I can actually get it back. All right, hold on. And now my whole computer is getting shut down. Uh-oh. I think the CIA's getting me. They don't want this. They really don't want this interview out there. And now I'm more determined than ever to get it. I think I can. Hopefully. Actually, if you give me one more minute, I might be able to get it. Come on, come on, come on. Wow, this is really annoying me now, but I think I can get it. It's just gonna take a while. Alright, we're gonna have to save it for next time. I think I can get it, though. Okay, so let's get back on track here. The reason I wanted to play this interview was because he mentions I have a transcript of it. I just, obviously, everybody's going to want the receipt. So that's why I wanted to get the actual audio from it. But I think at this point, I think my track record's pretty good with the receipts. So maybe I'll just I'll give the transcript here. Just give me one more second. So just regarding Seagal's musical talents, he plays several different instruments. The reason I am bringing this up now is because of Clona Steve Dreamkiller in the chat mentioning him tuning a cello for a first chair, and Seagal actually plays quite a few different instruments. Obviously the guitar, but he also plays the harmonica and different drums as well as keyboards. And I actually have another receipt for this. I'll put up the receipts here. I don't know if anybody has ever posted these images before. Like I said, it was kind of hard to get them. But this is MindShock. We are comprehensive and exhaustive here. So here is a very rare image, because again, of Steven Seagal playing the drums. Just absolutely incredible. There's a video somewhere too. Wasn't able to recover it, but I did have this. And who knows, once I tweak that AI that can recover all of these scrubbed from the internet images, video, and audio, I could probably find a lot more. I mean, as the AI gets better, can you imagine the amount of receipts that are actually out there on Seagal? I mean, this is just scratching the surface. This is just scratching the surface. And what a lot of people also don't know, apparently Seagal wow, this is weird. Yeah, here we go. Apparently Seagal also mixes and masters music as well. And again, these are all things he doesn't even ever mention. He doesn't even mention any of his mastery of all these different crafts. I mean, like I said before, this guy's a master of all trades and a jack of none. Nobody in the chat answered my question. When I first announced the Seagal podcast, how many people thought I would be bringing this many receipts? Here's just a couple more of him and Anderson Silva. For the people that thought that Anderson just brought him in as a gag for a one-time training session, here's yet another image of him having dinner. I believe, is that Machida's father? But this is Anderson Silva and Seagal hanging out at a dinner. For the, for all the goofs that thought that Anderson just brought him in that one time so he could say he brought in Seagal as a gag. Clearly they hang out and, he's been out to see him multiple times. There's actually another image. Lord said in the chat, says, I knew I'd be mind-shocked, but didn't know my entire life would be completely changed forever. I'm never getting mad again. Staying cool like Seagal. Yeah, I have another Anderson image here. Somewhere. Here we go. Yeah, I think that's Anderson Silva, Lyoto Machida, and I think that's Machida's father there as well. So clearly there's been, you know, he's been out, he knows them quite well. I mean, I don't know about Anderson. Let's not fall for false dichotomies. Maybe Anderson Silva really did bring him out as a gag, and then when Seagal beat him like a redheaded stepchild, he knew that Seagal was the master. Machida seems to have always respected him. I mean, Machida even used Aikido in his own MMA fights. And then recently, we actually saw Seagal as recently as last month, March 2024, being brought out to help Pereira, UFC champ, former kickboxing champ. So clearly, everybody takes Seagal seriously. Man, there's so many more receipts, too. I mean, how long do you guys want to go? I don't think I'm going to be able to get them all in here. Well, this is probably going to take a lot more than an hour, I love Trump, in the chat. I mean, we're already on hour 20 out of all the Seagal podcasts combined. I mean, we're going into hour 20. We're past hour 20, I believe. I mean, there's just so many receipts because he's made so many claims. Sigma LaFleur mentioning Seagal teaching both Machida and Anderson the front kick, and then they beat Vitor and Randy Couture with him, yes. And Seagal just worked with Alex Pereira. So we'll see what Pereira does in his next fight. This is Seagal in Bulgaria, 2004. I mean, look at Seagal styling and profiling on this bike in Bulgaria, 2004. Yes, Sigma LaFleur, I actually went over those videos in the first episode. I also brought this image up. Somebody mentioned Seagal and chess. This is Seagal playing chess. Clearly a master of chess as well. I mean, again, who is more talented than Seagal at being talented? Alright, we still got, there's so many more receipts here. Wow. Clone of Steve Dreamkiller says, my son attends West Point. Seagal came to teach the Zen way of warfare and death. I'm dead serious, but I just remembered it. Do you have any photos? We gotta fact check this. Let me see if I can find some. Well, I can't find any receipts of Seagal teaching at West Point. Then again, there you won't, if you search for most of the receipts I posted here and all these images, you won't find any mention of them anywhere. So again, I'm not doubting your story. I just thought it'd be cool if there were photos. All right, who's ready for more receipts? So we also have Seagal here with Johnny Bones Jones. I mean, Seagal is so much bigger than John Jones. John Jones is a pretty big guy himself. Clone of Steve Dreamkiller says, I wasn't there. It was a guest lecture. Let me see if my son has some. That would be cool. Kill the Bank asked, are you a chess player, Bruce? What do you think, Kill the Bank? I mean, I don't know how, this episode's either going to be 10 hours long, or we're going to have to, do another follow-up episode pretty quick, because I'm not even through the general timeline receipts, and we still have to get to these 2 fields of domination, comedy, and yet another field, which I haven't named yet, but... Oh, here's Seagal with Eric Clapton. For those that mentioned Shaq earlier, here's Seagal and Shaq. So Shaq is huge, but notice how he's not that much bigger than Seagal. Like, people who think that Shaq would just wreck Seagal based on size alone. I mean, yes, Shaq is bigger than Seagal. Shaq is bigger than a lot of people. But Seagal does not look like a midget next to Shaq like most people. Look at that stylish jacket by Seagal. Dapper. Very, very dapper is Seagal. You guys are not going to be ready for all this, because I didn't even get to some of these big receipts. Here's Seagal with Nicole Kidman and Stallone. Look how nervous Seagal, I mean, not nervous, but this is as nervous as he looks. Was he picking up the vibe of the Kidman bloodline and its connection to the Illuminati when standing next to Nicole Kidman? I believe this was 1995. Alright, who's ready for this? So this is Steven Seagal, October 28th, 2008, with Princess Dalal. For those who don't know who Princess Dalal is, now this is again pre-Putin. I mean, Seagal was clearly a diplomat way before even meeting Putin. Oh, wow. She actually just died September 10th, 2021, age 64. So she was born 1957 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. She was a Saudi Arabian activist and philanthropist. Member of the House of Saud, she was known for her activities concerning the welfare of youth and children at risk. So here is Steven Seagal. I mean, this looks like almost like a family picture. Is that her family? And, I mean, just this major activist and philanthropist from Saudi Arabia. I mean, come on. I mean, how many people are more of a philanthropist than Steven Seagal? I mean, this series is just going to run forever on Steven Seagal receipts. I mean, this is just the amount of receipts that exist. There are just so many. And can you imagine all of Seagal's accomplishments for which no receipts can be found, but are still true? I mean, that's enough to just splinter your mind. Here's Steven Seagal with Sophia Loren. I mean, everybody respects the master that is Steven Seagal. Master weapon handler as well. He also appears to be a master of styling hair. I mean, just look at the expertise he is engaging in here. I mean, just the expertise. Is there anything he hasn't mastered? Slow your roll in the chat, Dave Scott, there. Continuing to ask if he's a comedic genius. I mean... oh man, we'll try to get to it. We just have so much to go over. I mean, just the there's just so much. There's so much. We're already going into the second hour here, and we haven't even finished the introduction. This was just, the supposedly brief overview of Seagal. So here he is, getting his fingerprints, his handprints in Hollywood. And it's an absolute travesty that he doesn't actually have a star on the Hollywood Hall of Fame. I mean, that's how you know the fix is in. This is July 10th, 1995, when he got his handprints here, post Under Siege 2. Oh, Dave Scott, you know there's no shortage of comedic genius receipts. Absolutely no shortage. But probably one of the greatest travesties in Hollywood, that this guy doesn't have a Hollywood star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I mean, that really exposes how much of a sham Illuminati Hollywood is. Okay, I think, are we done? Oh, we're not done. Oh man, we are not done. I thought we were done, but we're not done. Okay, so, how many people knew about Steven Seagal Day? Steven Seagal had an entire day declared in his honor. In his honor. In Staten Island by Borough President Guy V. Molinari. This was December 30th, 1991, honoring Steven Seagal on Steven Seagal Day. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Steven Seagal Day is December 30th. Now, the other point here, how humble is Steven Seagal that he's shoveling snow on his own holiday dedicated to him for shooting films locally in New York City? How many other actors shovel their own snow? Well, keep in mind, Kill the Bank, this was 1991, before there were random holidays given out like candy. This was 91. This was still back when things weren't completely off the rails. Now, how many actors would shovel their own snow? I mean, how humble is Steven Seagal? Lord Zed in the chat says December 30th is my new favorite holiday. Yeah, New Year's Eve is Steven Seagal Day. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And has anyone ever heard Seagal brag about having a whole day dedicated to him? As far as I know, he hasn't mentioned it once, a single time, in any of his interviews. Not a single time. And now we learn, Lord Zed in the chat saying New Year's Eve, Steve. Well, technically it's New Year's Eve, Steve. New Year's Eve. The eve of New Year's Eve is Steven Seagal Day. I mean, mark your calendars, people. Mark your calendars. I don't think you guys were ready for this amount of receipts. I mean, how many people out there actually knew that I'd be bringing up Steven Seagal Day? I mean, you can see the poster hung in the back there. It says Steven Seagal Day. All right, we're still not done with the receipts, my friends. We are still not done. And this is Seagal being honored in the U.S. here. So here's another receipt that I don't believe you'll see anywhere else other than MindShock. Steven Seagal, so incredible, so absolutely incredible. He even had his own float in 1993 Mardi Gras. I mean, look at that. Look how elaborate and royal this float is. 1993 Mardi Gras. I mean, wow. Wow. Steven Seagal honored at the Mardi Gras in New Orleans. I mean, people were saying he has no connection to the city, that he made up all of this stuff. Yeah, that's him standing right there at the railing in a dapper black and tie. I mean, look at the ornate gold. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. Merman 84, how dare you? He actually exposed trafficking himself. That's why the Illuminati cabal went against him. And that's why he's one of the most slandered so-called celebrities out there. I mean, how many people knew? I mean, how often do you hear Steven Seagal even mention his 1993 Mardi Gras float? I mean, all the haters are going to be so drowned. I mean, are there any haters left that haven't already been drowned in receipts? Because there's still more. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. There's still more. There's a lot more. I mean, we're just getting started here. We're just getting started. I mean, that's one of the most ornate floats I've ever seen. And here's Seagal hanging out 2006 Mardi Gras. He seems to like Mardi Gras. Alright, are we done with the receipts yet? I mean, how much more general receipts can there be? I mean, the answer is a lot. The answer is a lot. Alright, so are we going to move on to Steve's comedic genius here? I got a couple more here. Here's Seagal in 2002 on vacation. I mean, look at that style. Look at that fashion. This is in the French West Indies, January 13th, 2002. I mean, look how dapper Steven Seagal is. I mean, if you look up dapper in the dictionary, is it not going to come up with Steven Seagal? Just a very well-deserved vacation. Just Steve hanging out in French Polynesia. I mean, is there anybody more well-traveled than Steven Seagal? Alright, so here, before we get into the comedic genius, I want to go over another field that Steven Seagal is given no credit for, and he is one of the top pioneers ever. Perhaps this image from South Beach, Miami, of him walking around not being happy with the degeneracy surrounding him in South Beach, Miami. This was somewhere between 2000 and 2004, maybe. This is Steven Seagal walking the streets of Miami South Beach. He does not look happy about the degeneracy around him, does he? So here's the other field that Steven Seagal has absolutely mastered. Obviously, for those that don't know, and how dare you for not, I mean, how absolutely dare you for not knowing that Steven Seagal, the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, the possible Messiah himself, man, YouTube's dropping signal on this one. Hold on a second. We're about to get cut out before I reveal this other field that Steven Seagal has completely mastered. Are we back? I think we're back. Steven Seagal, fashionista extraordinaire. I mean, can anyone name more of a fashion icon, a fashionista legend, a fashionista pioneer, unparalleled in the juxtaposition of native wear, cowboy wear, Tibetan, Buddhist, Japanese, Asian, Nepalese, Italian, American, trench coat, sunglass wearing combinations. I mean, there is literally no one with this kind of diversity. I mean, look at this fashion master. Anywhere, anytime. I mean, this guy's fashion acuity is possibly unparalleled. I mean, he can combo leather, jeans, this Western wear with Asian wear that the world has never seen before. I mean, just look at the combination of style here. I mean, look at the combination of style here. Is there anyone else who can pull this off? I mean, even his trench coats have an Asian flair to them. I mean, look at that Asian flared trench coat. I mean, is there a greater fashionista legend than the one and only Steven Seagal? I mean, he's even got Asian scarf wear down to a science. I mean, he can pull off any color. Turquoise, neon. I mean, this guy can pull off anything. I mean, who is more stylish than Steven Seagal? You think I'm kidding with these receipts? We're just getting started here. I mean, look at this guy. Black leather trench coat, jeans, and a nice Asian shirt. I mean, is there anybody that can pull this off? Is there anyone that has even tried? Is there anyone that has even attempted? I mean, look at the color variety. I mean, the palette of Seagal's fashion is absolutely unparalleled. I mean, the diversity. I mean, look at that. With weapons, without weapons. I mean, this guy pulls off every look in the book, and then some. And then some. I mean, his combination of styles is just absolutely unparalleled. I mean, this guy can mix in Inuit, Alaskan. I mean, is there anything this guy doesn't look good in? I mean, he's a mastermind genius in so many different fields. But I think fashion is the one field he really doesn't get the credit he deserves. I mean, this guy can pull off absolutely any look. Absolutely any look. I mean, this is probably my favorite shot here. I mean, look at the color palette here. Look at this color palette. And look at his sheer genius in posing with the classic car. I mean, can anyone name someone that is a fashion icon the level that Seagal is? Is anyone more of a fashion icon? I mean, this guy pulls off do-rags, beanies, backward baseball hats, every single possible known combination of headwear, sunglasses, and trench coats, while simultaneously maintaining Asian, Tibetan, Buddhist flavors. I mean, again, I ask the question, can anyone compete with Seagal in any of these fields? And of course, he can also pull off the classic suit and tie. He doesn't often, but he can. I mean, just look at the revolutionary fashion here. This is from Hard to Kill, but he's got the bandana, 80s style black tee, and this really, really high cut, some kind of crop top, zip up, I don't know what that kind of top that is. But look at the fashion icon that is Steven Seagal. I mean, how much more receipts do I have to bring into the just incredible fashion of Steven Seagal? He might also be the first guy to ever wear these Asian-styled shirts with only one arm rolled up to mid-elbow. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. This is absolutely incredible. Kill the Bank says no one knows what kind of top that is. I mean, it's a Steven Seagal top. I've never seen anybody wear one. I mean, just look at the fashion mastery. I mean, this is as early as 1991. I mean, is there any look he can't pull off? He can even pull off the Abercrombie and Fitch type look. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, he practically invented the sleeveless Asian shirt. I mean, has anybody even seen anyone wear a sleeveless Asian shirt before Seagal did? Is there anyone more dapper than Steven Seagal? I mean, he pulls off any color. Any color. I mean, the entire rainbow is at the command of Steven Seagal. I mean, just the Native American, Asian, Tibetan combinations are just crazy. Nobody's even thought of blending these styles, let alone pulling it off. This is Steven Seagal, 1994, in Paris. I mean, look at that stylish flair. I mean, is there any type of attire that Seagal can't pull off? Or a better question, not only can't pull off, but hasn't pulled off. He's even got the classic Texan look. I mean, does anybody do classic Texan better than Seagal here? I mean, look at that belt and everything. I mean, horseshoe mullet. I mean, look at that. Horseshoe mullet, classic Texan. I mean, this guy's incredible. This guy's absolutely incredible. All the colors of the rainbow bow to the one and only Steven Seagal. I mean, look at the style here. Very, very glamorous. Once again, I ask, is anyone more dapper than Steven Seagal? I mean, just the combination of looks this guy can pull it off. I mean, he just pulls off everything. I mean, absolutely every look this guy pulls off. I mean, just look at the combination Seagal can pull off. Even the tinted sunglasses. I mean, he's got baseball hat, do-rag, bandana, sunglass combinations down to a science. I mean, here's a classic collared shirt and jeans look from 1988. Classic country western type look here with the guitar. Very, very dapper, as always. I mean, he can even pull off these basic jeans, jacket, plain t-shirt type looks. Obviously, he's a master motorcycle rider as well. And here's the money shot everybody's been waiting for. Seagal can even pull off the man purse. I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. I mean, who else can pull off the man purse other than Steven Seagal? And who's going to walk up to Seagal and even say anything about that man purse if they have a problem with it? Lord Zed in the chat says, would be a bad day for a purse snatcher. I mean, from a distance, he actually kind of looks like a regular guy in that shot there. YouTube's dropping, getting some major lag here, because I'm about to provide the biggest fashionista receipt for Seagal. I don't think anybody's ready for this fashionista receipt. So Seagal does have his own fashion line. And he's even had his own fashion show. Bollywood actually recognizes the greatness of Steven Seagal and his fashionista acuity. And I'm going to drop the receipt right here in another interview that has been scrubbed from the internet. But of course, I will bring it. Is anybody actually surprised that Steven Seagal is a fashionista legend?
From P. Diddy to Regis Philbin, the line between fashion and entertainment blurring these days. And now you can catch Steven Seagal on that same list. The action star showing off his latest clothing tonight at Bollywood Fashion Awards. And he's with us here in Studio B.
The Bollywood Fashion Awards. And here he is sitting in a dapper athletic wear. Interesting style choice. As he reveals his fashion line for the Bollywood Fashion Awards.
How you doing?
Very good, thank you. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. What's with the fashion line? How'd you get into that?
Well, you know, I spent a lot of time. I was kind of raised in Asia. I spent a lot of time over there in the Orient, and was moved by a lot of the clothing in India and Tibet, and just got together with some fashion designers. You know, to work on some of the different textures and colors and stuff like that, having to do with Tibet and India. And Kamal and Sonia have been nice enough to sponsor this fashion award. And just, you know, had a good time coming up with some different stuff that, you know, looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, cool. The movie's doing great.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's #1 in the box office over the weekend. Some mixed reviews, but some great stuff there.
I think this was right after Exit Wounds 2001.
Well, nobody ever gets great reviews all the time.
No doubt.
But the money speaks for itself, and I think that in and of itself is at least something to be happy about.
You were you were maybe the first American ever to start a martial arts, open a martial arts facility over in Tokyo, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
How long ago was that?
Gosh, that must have been about 1970 or so, right around in there.
Around what, 72?
Yeah, right around in there.
And then there were all these rumors that at the time you might have been a CIA agent too. I heard David Letterman ask you about it one night. What's up with those rumors? Any truth to that?
There's nothing. There's no truth to that at all.
So you weren't a CIA agent?
No.
Yeah.
Interesting. He says, so it's actually kind of funny. I think this is the first interview where he was directly asked if he was a CIA agent instead of asked if he worked for the CIA. Because Seagal never claimed to be an agent, ever. He said he may have worked with people who worked for the CIA. So I don't know what, I don't know if he's just taking this guy literally here, but we'll see.
Still major league into martial arts, and help me along here, because I don't know, but it's like judo, which where you use the other person's weight as leverage against them, except you're bringing them into what would be a mortal blow sort of stand, right?
Well, not exactly. Aikido is more of a spiritual art, and my teacher was a kind of a mystic. And he believed that the martial arts should be to develop the physical man and perfect the spiritual self simultaneously. And that, of course, no man should have to give his life to someone who is, bad, some kind of, bad person or whatever.
Good point by Kill the Bank in the chat. All CIA say they're not CIA. Rule number 1. That is also true.
In other words, we all as people, even if we're pacifists, should have the right to defend ourselves or protect, innocent and helpless people. And so that's kind of what Aikido is about. We don't have blocking, kicking, or punching in the classic sense. It's more just redirecting the force and the energy of an attacker, also using anatomical weak points and joint locks and flips and stuff like that.
Cool. All right. Well, good luck at the Fashion Awards tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Good to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Nice to meet you.
I wish you'd done it outside, though. It's nice out there.
Yeah, just the people get crazy,
Yeah, sometimes they do.
Yeah, and I didn't bring anybody today. And as soon as I stood there, they started coming. I thought, oh, fuck, this is going to get crazy. We're not on now.
Oh, yeah. We are.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
See, now that's what would happen. We've been outside.
Yeah, they're out there. They're talking to Jenna, though, actually. Well, interesting day. All right, 15 seconds now. 15 seconds, we'll hit a commercial break. We're coming up on Your World, little business action. I hope to see you tonight, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. For the Fox Report, your news fair and ballot. Another journal entry. Have a good one.
So there you have it. Steven Seagal at the Bollywood Fashion Awards. Steven Seagal, fashionista extraordinaire. I mean, this is pretty incredible, isn't it? Most of this stuff has been scrubbed from the internet. But this image right here is from... Actually, you know what? This might... I don't know if this was the Bollywood Fashion Award or it was... It says Vogue Fashion Awards. So this might possibly have been a different fashion award. But I'll put this image up on the screen. So this is from some kind of fashion awards. I mean, quite the dapper individual, is he not? I mean, is there any look this guy can't pull off? He also had a cologne And that got pulled. I mean, it's just very interesting how there seems to be a concerted effort to hide the truth regarding Steven Seagal. Got a couple more images here of Steven Seagal with some legends. But yeah, nobody gives Seagal credit for being the legendary, pioneering fashionista that he is. I mean, look at all his different types of looks. He's just got so many different types of looks. He pulls them all off flawlessly. Even had his own fashion line at the Bollywood Fashion Awards, possibly other fashion award shows as well. Here's an image. I believe this was from the same 95 event. This is Clint Eastwood, Stallone, Nicole Kidman, Seagal, and the one and only Arnold Schwarzenegger. Some people think Schwarzenegger would just crush Seagal, but he's actually not really bigger than Seagal. He's not taller than Seagal. I mean, has bigger muscles, but in terms of frame, Seagal's bigger than all these guys. Taller, anyway. I mean, look at all these legends here. People think Seagal doesn't belong amongst the greats. I mean, look at all these legends here, absolutely honored to be posing with the one and only Steven Seagal. Lord Zed saying Arnold's awesome but would lose to everyone in the pick but Nicole. Yeah, I actually don't know what would happen between Arnold and Stallone. I don't know. Dave Scott in the chat says, I've shaken hands with Arnold. He's not over 6 foot. Wait, not? What's he billed at? He's billed at 6'2". Yeah, that's what I thought. What year, though? Because I mean, people do apparently look like they change heights. Seagal's definitely the tallest. He's taller than all of them while standing the furthest away from the camera. What year did you... Oh, 89? Wow, so that was close to his prime. So Dave Scott says he's 6'2". So Arnold was a little bit shorter than you, or a lot? Or approximately the same height? What kind of shoes were you guys wearing? Yeah, Arnold was always... See, Arnold's taller than a lot of people, though, so I would say... I would put Arnold at probably 6'1". I mean, everybody rounds up. They've rounded up Seagal to 6'5", but I think he's closer to 6'4". He's listed as 6'4", but people mentioned that he was about 6'5". But I mean, he's kind of towering over everybody while standing furthest away from the camera here. And Nicole Kidman's not that short, and she's in heels. Yeah, Nicole Kidman's 5'11", and she's in heels right there. But Arnold is standing a bit closer to the camera than Nicole. So yeah, I don't know. Do we need to do a deep dive into Arnold's true height? Wow, Arnold was actually billed as tall as 6'4" back in his Olympia days. But most people actually put him at 5'11", actually. Interesting. Wow, interesting. On Reddit, a lot of people who met him also say that he's about 6 feet. Very interesting. I mean, everybody kind of inflates their height a little bit, but Arnold's jacked, so he's never really going to look small. But yeah, interesting. We got a lot of legends in the chat. Legends who have been witness to Seagal. Legends who've shaken hands with Arnold. Dave Scott puts him at 5'10". Wow. Yeah, if I had to guess, I'd probably put him at 6. But yeah, interesting. Back in '89. But yeah, Seagal is as much of a fashion icon as you can be. I mean, I wonder why he didn't do more clothing lines. I mean, he'd probably be the GOAT of fashion. I mean, he's just got so many different looks. I mean, look what this guy can pull off. Can anybody else pull off an ensemble like this? I mean, he's got some kind of green scarf with a native black leather jacket and a gun in his hand. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. I mean, Seagal can just pull off absolutely any look here. Got another receipt here of Seagal visiting sick children in Taipei. Not quite on the topic of fashion, but this is, I believe this is 1998 in Taipei, Taiwan, for those who say that he never really visited any of these places that he claimed to. But what a dapper, dapper individual. Now, this was actually this was 2003 Victoria's Secret launch party, 2003. I mean, just look at this guy's fashion prowess. I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. Is there a greater fashion icon than Steven Seagal? Now, apparently, Steven Seagal is also a golfer. This is Steven Seagal. This is Steven Seagal 2005 at the FedEx St. Jude Classic for charity. I mean, this guy's just so giving. So absolutely giving. Here's another image of him masterfully lining up his shot here. But who is more of a fashion master than Steven Seagal? I can't think of anyone. This guy is a master of all trades, a jack of none. And we're actually going to have to continue we're going to get into his comedic genius in the next episode. Plenty of receipts there. But I got one more image here. This is Steven Seagal with the mayor of Besiktas. And, I mean, just a very, very dapper look here. The fashion icon that is Steven Seagal. Look at this fashion icon. I mean, his level of mastery in literally all fields is just absolutely incredible. This is in Turkey. He's hanging out with the mayor in Turkey here, with quite an ensemble. Just absolutely incredible. As we continue examining the endless receipts of what is possibly the Messiah, Steven Seagal. Is Steven Seagal the Messiah? Is it time to ask that question based on everything we've examined in the past 5 episodes? Is it time to ask the question? Dave Scott wants a teaser of his comedic genius. Yeah, I guess it's only fair. I mean, we kind of went a little overtime. I thought this would just be some, a couple extra receipts. We ended up going hours and hours on additional receipts here. Yeah, I'll leave you guys with this. A teaser. This is just a little, a teaser of Seagal's comedic mastery. Here, combination of movies and interviews. This is a teaser of the next episode where we will be doing a deep dive into the comedic genius of Steven Seagal. He may very well be the greatest comedian of all time.
You're the star of a few of these as well, Mr. Boyd.
Let me go. Ah, shit, man. Ow, what?
This is Steven Seagal and Anthony Anderson in Exit Wounds. A fantastic film. In my opinion, the last great movie of Steven Seagal.
Lucky move.
Unlucky face.
I mean, the deadpan delivery. Does anybody do deadpan delivery better than Steven Seagal?
It's like a monkey trying to fuck a football now, really. This whole thing, it's just a fucking mess.
Wow. I think that that kind of behavior is an embarrassment to the human race.
I want results or I'll take these fucking rose clippers and bury them in somebody's motherfucking eye.
Did you ever kill anybody?
Oh, man. So when I came back to America...
This might be one of the funniest fight scenes of all time right here. I think this is from True Justice's TV show. Pay attention to what he calls this Asian guy.
What the fuck are you doing in my place?
And no, we're not sure if those are prop walls or prop glass or anything.
Listen to me. Get up.
He just power slammed that guy into a wall.
What? Yeah. Come on, white trash.
Did you hear what he just called him? He said, "Come on, white trash." He called this Asian guy white trash. Let's replay that.
Trash. Come on, white trash.
I mean, if that's not comedic genius, I don't know what is.
What's on your mind, baby?
Are you really as good as they all say you are?
Every once in a while.
The delivery, I mean, just absolutely incredible from Steven Seagal. And that's just scratching the surface of his comedic genius, which he has been revealing for decades. And I, of course, dug up quite a few interviews from quite a few different continents that have all been scrubbed from the internet, but I got them back. And that's your little teaser, Dave Scott. We might actually be able to do it tomorrow. Let's see. Depending on if this one gets removed for copyright, I'm going to try to get it back before doing episode 6. Just because I don't like to do episodes if the previous episode is not currently available. So we'll see what happens with this one tomorrow. So we can do part 2 either tomorrow night or the night after. Or part 6 rather. Revealing Seagal's comedic genius. Steven Seagal, the greatest fashion icon of all time probably, might also be the greatest comedian of all time. Hope everybody enjoyed another edition of the MindShock podcast. If you enjoy the podcast, find it interesting, informative, and entertaining, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. You could also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comment section. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.